Hello everybody, we are going to be talking about one team from each division that I feel like is surprising to me this season, whether that be good or bad. Now before we start, please make sure to subscribe to the channel. If you are new to hockey, new to my channel, whatever the case may be, I'd love to have you here along the way as I try to do this as a career. Now let's get to it. And here we have the Atlantic Division. A lot of teams to talk about here, but I think I have to go with the Ottawa Senators, and this is a club that currently sits in the bottom of their division at the time of recording this, which is this Thursday, and this is a group that, while certainly not terrible, they are not supposed to be 8th in their division. They made a lot of moves in free agency, and yes, they did have some concerns about defense and their goaltending, but you really did feel like this group, while maybe not a lock for the playoffs, would be a team that was a little bit more exciting than years past. They have played 24 games, they are on pace, or they have 21 points, and they are really on pace for a year that's really disappointing all around. If they miss the playoffs, they have to worry about that. They got to worry about ownership, which is kind of a weird situation about who's going to be getting this team. But yeah, all around, I'd say for the Atlantic, while Boston has been really, really good to start the year, Ottawa's been relatively bad in terms of finishing or being in the spot of 8th right now for them, which I find surprising because I really just didn't think they'd be there. As for the Central Division, we're going to go the St. Louis Blues. There are the Avalanche that I could have talked about, but they've had a lot of injuries, so I'm going to cut them some slack. The Blues, I think, are surprising because they sit 5th in their division, 6th in the Central right now, and for them, consistency seems to be an issue where they started out the year undefeated, had a long losing streak, had a long winning streak, and right now sit at 11, 14, and 0 on the year, 25 games played, 22 points. This does not look like the squad that was able to really put some doubts into fans' minds about whether or not the Colorado Avalanche would beat them in that playoff series last year. And a lot of people said to me and really criticized me for saying that I didn't view them as a cup contender. A lot of people viewed them as a dark horse going into the season. And while I didn't view them as a dark horse, I certainly would not expect them to finish 5th or 6th, whatever the case may be, in their division in the Central. I would have to say if things continue, Berube's probably on the way out because the inconsistency is a big concern. You know, if you followed it up with a 12-game win streak, that's good. But if you have an 8-game lose streak, these things are going to be a problem, especially if you're barely making the playoffs and you're not, really doing anything there. I don't know if that'll be the case. Knowing the Blues, they'll go on a 15-game win streak and make me look bad. As for the Metro, I would have to say for this one, probably the New Jersey Devils. I think it's between them or the New York Rangers. The Devils, though, are that squad that had a really bad year last year. They made some moves last season. They thought that they would be much better than they were. They weren't, and a lot of people were hoping for better results this year, but didn't exactly know what to expect. This year, they've been one of the best teams in the league. They've been practically, unbeatable at home. I don't know if they still are undefeated at home. I'd have to check. The Bruins lost the other day to the Golden Knights, so their run is over. But for the Devils, a squad that won a lot of games in a row, 13 to be exact, and a group that features some young talent that is up and coming and could be the face of the league in Jack Hughes. A very, very intriguing team for sure, because this is a squad that's kind of been in the shadows of the success in the tri-state area with the New York Rangers and the Islanders. For the Devils, this is really good for them. And I think they were the second team to get to 20 wins this season behind the Bruins. Very, very happy for them. And I really do hope for the Devils, they're not only to make it to the playoffs, but maybe have some success there along the way. As for the final division, we have the Pacific Division. There are some teams that I feel like you could talk about here, Seattle or Anaheim. I'm picking Anaheim. I personally viewed Seattle as a team that I thought would be in the hunt for the playoffs. I think that I said that they would just miss out on it, but they are currently second in their division. But I still expected them to be a team that was much, much better than what we saw last season, whereas the Ducks were a squad that looked like they'd be a lot better. They made some moves going into this year as well with Klingberg. That was kind of an exciting thing. They were hoping for a Gibson bounce back. They were hoping to become better defensively. They had some really exciting young players come in, and of course they are putting up some flashy numbers. But in general, this squad is really bad, sitting towards the bottom, if not the very bottom of the league for league standings. Them and Chicago really do seem like two teams that are duking it out for that last and worst spot in the league. The tank for Bedard is obvious at this point for Chicago, maybe not as obvious for Anaheim. But still, very, very surprising for me to see them in the spot they're in. I would not have said at the beginning of the year Anaheim would be the worst team in the league, and actually said if some things would have clicked, maybe they could have been right there for the playoffs as a wild card. Clearly not the case, and they are looking at another year without playoff hockey. But yeah, those are my 4 picks for 4 really surprising teams in each division. You had Ottawa for the Atlantic, you had the Blues for the Central, and then of course you had you had the Devils for the Metro, and then the Anaheim Ducks for the Pacific. What are 4 surprising teams, one from each division, that you think and why? Let me know down below in the comments. Also, please make sure to like this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new. Everybody stay safe. Have a great night, and you go of hockey, alright? Goodbye, Brigadiers and Brigadettes. This is your captain signing off. Have a great night.